The war between Russia and Ukraine has Europe on the edge. Ukrainian forces are unable to stop Vladimir Putin's troops. As the war completes 3 years, Russia continues to occupy large parts of eastern Ukraine. Volodymyr Zelensky is desperate. He has lost support from Ukraine's biggest ally. The United States is not the same as it was when 2025 began. Donald Trump is carving a new path, and he's certainly not following Joe Biden's footsteps. Zelensky once relied heavily on the US for weapons and aid, but with Trump in office, the Ukrainian leader is caught in a bind. On one side, Putin refuses to return the occupied Ukrainian territory. On the other side, Trump refuses to help Zelensky out. And in an attempt to save Ukraine, Zelensky has now turned to Europe and his NATO allies. Relations turned sour between the US and Ukraine when Zelensky visited Washington, D.C. On the 28th of February, Zelensky and Trump met at the White House.
President Trump, do you have a message for Vladimir?
Their interaction began with smiles and handshakes, but the 40-minute-long press conference turned bitter fast.
The problem is, I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know
bless.
that.
You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on
position
this
to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this.
you're doing.
I'm not
You're in
dictating.
no position to dictate what we're going to feel. With us, you start having
not
cards.
playing cards.
Right now, you don't.
I'm very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're gambling
I'm
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think
You're gambling with World War III.
What do you think
You're
about?
gambling with
What do you
World
think
War
about?
III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country,
I'm
that's
with
back
all
to
respect to
you,
your
far
country.
more than a lot of people said
very
they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once? This
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today.
have you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can...
not speaking loudly. He's not
Yeah.
speaking loudly. Your country's
Can I-
in big
can I-
trouble.
can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No,
Can
you've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning.
I know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of
Mr.
us.
President.
Days later, Trump ended all military aid for Ukraine, leaving Zelensky no choice but to turn to Europe. Since Russia launched its special operation into Ukraine, the United States has provided almost $66 billion in military aid. This included 3 Patriot air defense batteries, 3,000 Stinger anti-air missiles, more than 10,000 Javelin anti-tank missiles, around 700,000 mortar and artillery shells, 31 M1A Abrams tanks, 300 Bradley fighting vehicles, and 5,000 Humvees. Ukraine also received small arms like rifles, pistols, night vision goggles, and Kevlar armor. It's not just Ukraine that's facing the heat. Europe is worried more than ever that Trump would end their security guarantees too, because Trump has repeatedly pulled up NATO allies for not contributing their fair share to the security alliance. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, is 75 years old.
A momentous occasion calling for souvenir copies for the...
It has 32 member countries that work together to discuss security and political interests. Under NATO's Article 5, allies must defend or retaliate in case a NATO member is threatened or attacked. But Trump thinks that NATO is too dependent on the United States, and that most of Europe is just freeloading. Adding fuel to the fire is Trump's billionaire buddy, Elon Musk, who wants the US to exit the NATO alliance. Trump first wanted all NATO members to contribute 2% of their GDP to the military, but then he moved the goalposts to 5%. Which means each NATO ally would have to spend 5% of their GDP on the military if they want protection guarantees from the US.
Well, I think NATO should have 5%, yeah. Well, you can't do it at 2%. I mean, at 2%, every country, if you're going to have a country in a regular military, you're at 4%. I think they should be, they're in dangerous territory. I think it should be, they can all afford it, but they should be at 5%, not 2%. I'm the one that got them to pay 2%. If they don't pay, I'm not going to defend them. No, I'm not going to defend them. I got into a lot of heat when I said that. You said, oh, he's violating NATO. And, the biggest problem I have with NATO, I really, I know the guys very well. They're friends of mine. But if the United States was in trouble and we called them, we said, we got a problem, France, we got a problem, a couple of others I won't mention. Do you think they're going to come and protect us? They're supposed to. I'm not so sure.
So, which NATO members are contributing enough to be in Trump's good books? Numbers from 2024 show that only Poland, Estonia, Latvia and Greece, along with the US, are contributing more than 3% of their GDP. However, there are still many that contribute even less than the 2% required by Trump. Those are Portugal, Italy, Canada, Belgium, Luxembourg, Slovenia and Spain. No country apart from Poland is even near the 5% mark, not even the United States. So in case Trump decides to stop protecting European allies, the threat from Russia will grow larger than ever. The United States is the top contributor to NATO. It spends and supplies manpower and weapons more than all the other 31 members combined. And without American support, European NATO members barely match up to the Russian war machine. The EU and Russia are evenly matched in terms of troops, but Russia has more tanks and artillery systems. The two sides are nearly evenly matched in air power when just the number of fighter jets, attack aircraft and attack helicopters are compared. Russia loses out on naval projection, but more than makes up for it in nuclear warheads. Without the support of the United States, European NATO members may have unity, but not the size and muscle that is needed to stop Putin. Europe would not be able to provide the size of military it needs if it has to protect both Ukraine and itself. Europe would also be unable to conduct large-scale bombing campaigns on its own, because the number of air-to-air refuelers and AWACS systems needed for it would not match the size of the military operation. Europe's best bet has been, and will continue to be, the United States, which means they will have to deal with Trump, whether they like it or not.
Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Namaste, Mr. President.
Bharat Kelogon, Komeri Namaste.
How many people generally follow you in interviews?
Typically in a month, we have viewers up to 150 million. That's more than twice the population of France. And in the last 2 years, we had 3 billion viewers. So I say, Lohon, this is your chance to be famous. You're on Firstpost. One word to describe your equation with Prime Minister Modi.
Amitié.
As India and France work together, are you creating a new era of non-alignment in the technology space?
India is a training superpower. 1 million engineers a year, more than all of Europe and the US combined. So we have that partnership. We have a partnership on the environment and the economy. We also have civilian nuclear programs, and that is something we've developed far beyond the France-India relationship. So we want to work together on AI.
And then comes China with its DeepSeek, creating models at a fraction of the cost. Did that innovation take you by surprise? Did that breakthrough make you sit up and think, what did the Chinese do and how?
But what did DeepSeek do? They took everything that was already available from the last AI model, and then they recalibrated it.
So are you going to ban Chinese AI in France?
So we don't have this American approach of banning tech because of where it comes from.